Good evening, everyone. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us today as we celebrate the amazing and groundbreaking achievements of notable Black scientists that left indelible marks on STEM fields. My name is Carissa Sedor, and I am the Buell Planetarium producer at Carnegie Science Center. Today, I am honored to introduce you to our speaker, Dr. Hart. Dr. Hart is a nuclear engineer at Argonne National Laboratory, where she directs analysis covering international affairs, nuclear energy and safety, energy security, and cybersecurity to inform executive cabinet decisions. Now, Dr. Hart, as a multidimensional and vibrant professional, brings a modern approach to STEM. Through her philanthropy, she seeks to illustrate the potential of a STEM career focusing on women in the African American and Latinx communities. Her goal is to show young women that they can exist and excel in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So, Dr. Hart, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good. I should just have you come everywhere and introduce me. You make me sound so amazing. Thank you.
Well, that is my job today, but you make it very easy. I mean, the accomplishments in your career, a lot of really interesting stuff. And I'm really excited to kind of learn more about what it is that you do. So tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of your background.
Okay, well, this is a Zoom or Facebook electronic meeting. So I first have to ask, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
So we hear you loud and clear.
Okay, that is a prerequisite before we start these meetings. But I am excited to be here. So a little bit more about me. I grew up in Miami, Florida. I went to Florida State University, a big state school, go Noles, and then the University of Illinois. And I live in Chicago, Illinois now. I work at Argonne National Laboratory, which is a government federally funded research and development center. So essentially it's where they do all the big science. And we have a lot of technology there. We do all sorts of things. We helped with the technology that went into the Chevy Bolt, so electric vehicles. We actually worked with some chemicals and that sort of thing during the Deepwater Horizon, if you remember that, the oil spills. We built some materials that it's called an oleo sponge that helps soak up the oil. But what we're really known for at Argonne National Laboratory is nuclear engineering. So we do a lot of nuclear reactors, nuclear power. So all that electricity that charges all your gadgets, we help develop the technology that goes into that.
So that's really kind of a wide range of things. That's really
Yes.
Interesting. So how did you get started in this kind of career?
By accident. So I have to say that. Sometimes you look at people where they are in their career and you think, oh, they must have been really driven and known exactly what they wanted. And that could not be farther from the truth for me. I really just went this way and that way and figured it out. So that is something that I just kind of looked at my interests and never did I think I was going to be a nuclear engineer. So I knew I liked math and science. I got bribed into being an engineer, I want to say. And then one day I experienced nuclear power. I had an opportunity. I was in Navy ROTC and I went underway on a submarine. And I just thought, oh, this is really cool and also really dangerous. Who the heck is in charge of this? Who's in charge here? And then I thought, oh, I should be. And literally, that's how I got into my career. I saw something dangerous. I knew, not dangerous, but powerful. I'll say powerful, not necessarily dangerous. It could be if it was used in purposes, for dangerous purposes. I mean, if people want to do bad things, they could do bad things with a lot of different items. And I use my engineering background now, and I work in national security, and I am basically the person that tells people what things can do for good or for bad. And then I look at other countries and I see what they're doing with their technology just to keep our policymakers informed. because, you know, science and technology is not something that you just pick up easily. And so my job is literally to delve into different technologies and to understand them and then explain them in plain language.
I mean, I hear that, I feel like I hear that a lot with a lot of STEM professionals, is they kind of fall into their careers and follow kind of a winding pathway. So it's always neat to hear how it's not always a straight line to what you end up doing. There are lots of stops along the way, but that's really awesome too. It kind of sounds like that trip into a submarine was a big impact. Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience?
Sure. Yeah, another thing, I don't know anybody's career that is a straight line. I think I had four majors in throughout college. So I started as a business major, and literally because I wanted to wear cool clothes. I was like, I saw back then it was Melrose Place. You know, Amanda. Anybody who's around my age, Amanda. She had the, you know, shoulder pads and the short skirts and the tousled hair. And she fired people. And I was like, yeah, sign me up. And I was good at math. So I was like, you know, my mother was an accountant. So it's a career path that I saw myself in. And my mom, she said, hey, why don't you try engineering? I heard it's good. You're good at math and science. I loved math and science and still did not think about a career in engineering. And literally, she was like, if you go into engineering, I'll buy you a car. I was like, yes, ma'am. Sign me up. So I went from business to engineering. And then I wanted to do like biomedical type engineering. And so close to that was chemical. So I signed up for chemistry and chemical engineering. And then I got into my second year, and I was like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I was like, this is a lot of chemical equations. Even though I was doing really well, when I thought about the jobs that I wanted to be in, I couldn't see myself like in a laboratory. So then I switched to industrial engineering because I heard it was like businessy engineering. And I just kept going. I couldn't change my major anymore because I wanted to graduate. And then I went over on the sub and I decided graduate, get my degree, and I went to graduate school for nuclear engineering. So don't think you have to pick one thing. You can always pivot. You probably will have to pivot because things change so much in your career and in engineering. So really what was the foundation for me is learning the basics of science and mathematics, and engineering is just applied science. So once I had those basics, I could go in a lot of different directions. And even in my job now, it is like literally my job to understand and figure things out. So yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, it just goes to show kind of gathering knowledge from all over the place can really help you in ways that you might not end up expecting. So we're back when you were starting to kind of search out different career choices and different majors that you had tried out. Did you have any particularly helpful mentors or people that maybe really inspired you and kind of helped steer you towards the path that you ended up taking?
Absolutely. So it was always somebody like STEM is hard. It's not the most glamorous career. And there were a lot of times where I wanted to quit. It was hard. I have a PhD. That's a lot of school after school, you know, and I always thought about, you know, the big picture, the end goal for myself. And there was always in my corner some, you know, woman, it's typically a woman, honestly, for me, and typically a Black woman at that, who is like, girl, you better get back in school. Like, get your behind back in STEM. That's how I paraphrase it. And so when I was at Florida State, it was Dr. Patricia Stiff. She really guided me when things, you know, were tough, when I didn't really see myself in STEM. She was like, I had a high GPA. I had like a 3.8. And she actually was the one who told me, look into graduate school. You know, I know you have a very inquisitive mind. I know that you want to lead projects. Well, go get your PhD, because those are the people who lead research, who investigate, who get to come up with the problems. And then, of course, my mom, she's an accountant, so she has a background in math, and she really fostered my love of math through shopping. Let's be honest. I tell this story. My mom likes to shop. She's a fashionable woman. And she used to take me shopping with her, and we'd see a sale and she'd make me figure out the sales price. And literally that's how I got into math.
I love that. That's so practical too. I mean, that is a practical skill to have. So that's really amazing. I do want to remind to our viewers who are watching along with us, if you do have any questions for Dr. Hart, please feel free to put those in the comments and we'll definitely try to address those as much as we can. But I am curious, Dr. Hart, if you could kind of walk us through what does a typical day in your job look like? What kinds of things do you do throughout the day that you're allowed to tell us?
Okay, yeah, no day is typical. And it's either meetings and talking, either arguing, reading, or writing. So that's how my day boils down. I have a very interesting job where I work in what's called a secure facility. So when I go into work, I'm at home today, but when I do go into the secure facility, I can't have any electronics. There is no phones, no ear pods, nothing, because I work with classified material, which is pretty cool. It's a little annoying because, I can't text or do anything at my desk, but I get to read all this intelligence and reporting that people go out and get me, which is kind of awesome. And so there's a lot of things that come across my desk that I see that make the news, that don't make the news, so I like having like the inside track on things, and like having details that nobody else has. And so basically I go in the day and I work in an office. I work in an office and I read and write reports, but it's not a typical office. It's a electromagnetically like sealed office. So no signals can get in because they have to secure the material. You can't like bring paper in. All of the systems are separate from like the regular internet. It's pretty cool. So that in itself is awesome. And then I'm either reading reports to hear what other people have to say about things, or writing reports to tell people what I have to say about things. And a lot of arguing, which I like, because it's like going toe to toe, because we're trying to figure out what's happening. And I'm like, no, that is not right. If you can't tell, talker and an arguer. I've never met an argument I don't like. And I get to have it out technically, like with some of the smartest people in the world, which is awesome and amazing, and learning things and always something new. So I usually, my technical area is nuclear, but day to day, I might be talking about chemical and biological weapons. I might be talking about emerging technologies all across the country. And it's just fascinating. So I don't know, that's all over the place. So either I'm writing, talking, or reading.
That is amazing though. I mean, what is a typical day? I don't think anyone has a typical day.
Not anymore, yeah.
But especially not, in a career where it seems you wear so many different hats. So you talked a bit about like the broad range of subjects that you were studying. What kinds of, are there classes or opportunities that someone should look into taking if they're interested in starting a career kind of like yours?
So there's two broad categories that I work in. One, engineering, and of course, math and science. You have to have the basics. You got to have your chemistry, your physics, your biology, and your mathematics. Even though something they don't tell you, and I'll give you guys a pro tip, just pass the class, okay? They have computer programs that do a lot of the things that they're asking you to do in the class. So pass the class. You have to understand what the computer program is doing, but nobody is going to ask you to do a derivative by hand. So just know it gets better. And for the national security side of things, you can, political science is a very common degree. International affairs is a very common degree. And a lot of people go into the military and get into national security and intelligence analysis. So the people that I supervise on my team, a lot of them are former military.
That's That's amazing. So we do have some questions from our audience right now. You said you were attracted to working in nuclear energy because it was powerful or could be dangerous. You know, there's a lot of responsibility with that kind of thing. Have you had an experience at your job that you felt like you were in a dangerous situation?
To borrow from the Lion King, I laugh in the face of danger. But I mean, I do not personally like to be in danger. So no, I've never at my job felt like my safety was threatened, because we do a lot to ensure that we work safely. But what I do face a lot is security threats. So I have a security clearance. I had to go through the most invasive background check you can go through. And, you know, people they watch your bank accounts, they watch that, because what we deal with is very serious. I know people have heard about, you know, security leaks and that sort of thing. So the things that we work with on a day-to-day basis, people are, you know, like risking their lives and their family lives and their economic, you know, issues and that sort of thing to get us this information, because it's important in the decisions that the United States makes. So I take that responsibility very seriously. And again, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this job, because I knew it was serious. I knew it could be safe, have safety issues or security issues. And I wanted to make sure that somebody like me was on the job.
Yeah, it sounds like a big responsibility, but also I can understand kind of the allure of that responsibility, and knowing that, you know, you are capable of doing that, and not everyone can. So it's a pretty amazing thing. So what kinds of things, you had talked about a little bit about your own role models. Have you had a chance to act as a mentor for any young women in STEM?
Absolutely.
Specifically even nuclear science?
So this is one of my favorite things about where I am in my career now. So I'm not 25 anymore. I'm 26. And so because now I am 26 whole years old, I am in a position, okay, I'm not really 26, that was a joke, but I'm in a position now where I have more responsibility, and I have built a reputation. So I have a little bit more leeway. I supervise people at my job. I'm a manager. I have had interns, but what I really like to do is outreach to the next generation, and especially African-American girls. That's me. So every time I look at them, I see me. I see me, you know, Coke bottle glasses, asking too many questions, sitting in front of class, annoying everybody, because I just want to know more. So I really make it a point of mine to do outreach. And I'm glad that they asked this question. I actually have a web series that is premiering on March 2nd, so in a couple of weeks, on YouTube. And it is going to feature, it is about 8 to 10 minute episodes, and each episode features a woman like me, an African-American woman who is in STEM, who is just excelling and doing the thing. Because I think that a lot of young people, and especially African-American girls, need to see people who look like themselves so that they can consider careers in STEM.
Definitely. Kind of piggybacking off of that, you know, obviously that is a big focus of the work that you do. And we all know that it is important to have this diversity and inclusion and equity in STEM. But personally to you, why do you think that inclusion and diversity and equity and access is important in STEM, and kind of helps to benefit STEM as a whole?
So when I began, I talked about the different technologies and work that my laboratory, Argonne National Laboratory, does. And you can see, like, it's across the board. Like, we're talking about nuclear power, we're talking about cars, we're talking about cleaning up the environment. And those are big issues to tackle, right? So the whole point is that we need a whole bunch of ideas, because the first idea you have is not going to work. I've never seen the first idea work. And so when you think about these big ideas, you need a lot of different people who have different backgrounds and different mindsets so that they can look at every single angle to the problem and come up with a great solution. So if you have only one type of people who, you know, all went to the same schools or all, you know, were raised in the same type of, you know, family or area, it's not very good, not only diversity of people, but diversity of thought. And so that's what having a wide berth and selection of people at the table with different backgrounds, it's that diversity of thought that we need.
Definitely. There's a lot to be said about bringing as many people to the table as possible. And it really just obviously helps to benefit everyone, and not just even specifically people in STEM, but everyone who they work with. So if back to kind of your career and kind of the things that you do, because it is, I mean, it's really fascinating. If someone was interested in your career, what is some advice that you might give them? And how can parents support and motivate their kids if they want to pursue something like that?
So I would say my mom and my dad, I think I passed them in math like when I was in 8th grade. So I say I outmathed them in 8th grade, because in 8th grade, I decided that I was going to take a geometry class. And my parents was like, good luck with that. Hope you get an A. And I did, of course. But parents, just support your kids. Like, drive them to that summer camp. If they want to be on the math club, just support their dreams. A lot of times I would come to my mom with an idea and she'd be like, say what now? Like, I grew up in Florida and I was like, Mom, I'm going to move to Illinois to study nuclear engineering. She was like, what? Like, I had to teach my mom how to say nuclear. So she used to say nuclear because we were from the South. And just be open, parents. Be open, you know, encourage your kids' crazy ideas as long as they're safe, you know, encourage them. I'll use what they use in improv. Parents should say yes and. You know, if your kids want to do something that, you know, fosters this, say yes, and how can I help? Yes, and what else would you like to do with it? Yes, and how does that fit into, you know, what you want to do or the next step? So just encourage and support. You don't have to know exactly what they're doing, and they probably do not want you to know exactly what they're doing anyway. Let's be honest.
Definitely. Well, this has been so amazing, so enlightening. I've definitely learned a lot. Is there anything else that you kind of want to share, or any other cool things that that you might want to pass on? Any other projects that we might be able to look out for coming from you? I know you had mentioned that that web series that you're working on.
Yes, I have a web series that is premiering on March 2nd. And I just put my username at Jatia PhD. I am on Twitter. I am on Instagram. And the name of the web series is STEM Queens, because it's for all my African-American girl queens coming up. All right, I see you. It's on YouTube, and you can find that on my YouTube channel, Jatia PhD. It is my love letter to all those beautiful Black girls who are coming up behind me in STEM.
Awesome. Well, that's really exciting. Thank you so much for sharing all of this stuff with us today. It has been an honor and an awesome privilege to talk to you. And thank you so much for joining us. And to everyone watching, as we continue our Black History Month celebration here, please check back for next Tuesday's Facebook Live Career Connections chat with Afua Bruce, the Chief Program Officer at DataKind. We'll post more information in the comments coming up. But thanks again, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Hart. This was wonderful. Everyone have a great night.
Thank you.